Welcome to sportsbookreview.com. I'm Flash, and we are live for Premier League Punters. I have big man on campus, which is Jeff Nadu and Martin Green. But before we go to the boys who know everything about the Premier League, if you like this video, then please subscribe, press the button and ring the bell. You ring the bell, then we can notify you and you will never miss any content again. And if you press the link in the description, that will take you over to the articles that have been written, maybe by Martin, maybe by Alex, and you can get on all of our soccer pages. That's La Liga, Bundesliga, Serie A, and the Premier League. Now, the Premier League, I'm going to come to you, Jeff. Welcome back, sir. It's been a long time. How do you fancy the Premier League so far?
Well, I still am tiptoeing, and I'm sure, a lot of people are. I'm glad to be back with you guys. It's been a long time since I've seen either of you. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm glad to be back. But, yeah, I'm still tiptoeing. I don't know if it's as money hungry as some of the other leagues. I mean, Serie A seems like just a bank right now, a bank where no one's at it and you can just walk in and take whatever you want and you don't get caught for it. That seems what Serie A is right now. But yeah, I felt this card was tough. I continue to have struggles finding value in some of these matches, but we'll try to carve something out somewhere along the way.
Martin, too many teams have been lethargic. Too many draws at half-time. But if you like your draws at half-time, you've cashed out on nearly every single game.
Yeah, the amount of changes that managers can make has certainly thrown a new dimension into things. So we have seen more goals in the second half. But we were very low scoring. I think the average number of goals per game was 2.15 before last night's action, which is way down on pre-lockdown. But then last night there were some very high scoring games. So maybe teams are finally starting to warm up and open up a bit. And hopefully we'll be in for a few more entertaining showdowns this weekend.
Yeah, also there's been a few mismatches though. Arsenal against Norwich. Norwich absolutely dire. They have a go. Arsenal, they flatter to deceive, and I fancy that they might come unstuck this weekend. Now, just before we go to the boys and start getting their selections, then remember, you're the third guest. We're live. You can come in the chat. We know that you're knowledgeable, so give us your tips, give us your leans. If you have any questions for Jeff or Martin, then you throw them at me. Jeff, I'm going to come to you straight away. What an absolutely rip-roaring game I've got for you straight away. And it's Norwich plus 240, draw plus 240, and Brighton at plus 137. And the away sides have been having their own way so far.
Yeah, I mean, Norwich is going down. Obviously, we all know that. We don't have to really worry about them much more. I mean, what has happened to Norwich? I mean, they have been so poor, as you said. At least early in the season, Timu Pukki was finding ways to find goals, and they were surprising. I mean, it seems like years ago since they remember when they beat Manchester City way back? I mean, that seems like 6, 7, 8 years ago. But yeah, they're going down. Not much to play for. They've given up goals by the truckload, seemingly. They can't find the back of the net. But I got to be honest, I don't necessarily trust Brighton away. I mean, they're a team I want to back at home where they can maybe surprise against an Arsenal like they did, or a side like that. You got to wonder how. But I guess they'll fancy their shot at winning this match. Keep in mind, Norwich hasn't scored in 7 of their last 8 games. I mean, they've just been so poor. I want to take Brighton here. They could use one more win, I think, to just kind of pad it and kind of pull away from the bottom 3 or bottom 4. But to me, as you said, it's just a game I didn't really have much interest in. I won't spend 1 second on this game. I'd rather watch coronavirus United States coverage than this match. I'll pass. I have no interest here.
Martin, I think you can only go for Brighton, especially when they're at plus 137. Remember 2 games ago they went to the Walker Stadium or the King Power Stadium, and they were unlucky not to come away with all 3 points. They're organised and they're playing a new way. They're trying to change their DNA.
Yeah, very impressive since the restart. Taking 4 points off Arsenal and Leicester is a very good return for a team that hadn't won in the calendar year before the break. So, yeah, they do seem to have a bit of determination about them. They look a little more resolute. Obviously, they got a bit of a pasting in midweek, but there's no shame in losing to this informed Man United team. I think they'll bounce back. Norwich really do seem to have downed tools and given up. They showed a little bit of fight after half-time last night against Arsenal, but then ended up losing 4-0. It's very demoralising for them. A lot of players just aren't at the races. Timu Puki's not turning it on, so they've got no real goal threat. And Brighton can afford to pour men forward. They haven't had great away form this season, but they're playing in empty stadiums now, so I think they can go there and get a result in this game. Be a little more cautious. I would maybe consider draw no bet at 1.61, but I'm inclined just to go for the Brighton win at 2.37 plus 137. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because you're betting Brighton or you're just going to fade Norwich because Norwich look weak. They look like they're devoid of confidence. And I think, obviously, as Jeff said, they're going down. So just get on Brighton at plus 137. And we're going to move on now. Now, this has probably been one of the most disappointing sides. And they're struggling because they could well fall out the Champions League places. It's Leicester at minus 143. The draw at plus 300. Palace at plus 550, Jeff. And I'm thinking it's under 2.5 goals before I even look at it.
Yeah, what's happened to Leicester? That's a good kind of point from you. I mean, really, since the new year, or late January, they've been so poor. I mean, just 4 wins over the last 16 matches. As we said with Norwich, their goal-scoring threat in Pukki's disappeared, and so has Vardy. Where's he been? He just hasn't been very good. Palace hangs around, though. They do. That defense, it's very solid. It's very intact. I think they could get a result here, but I agree with you. I'm probably looking under 2.5 goals, but I mean, you're laying almost, 150 here. Look, right now to get value in some of these games, you're having to lay prices. You're having to do it in Serie A as well. I mean, you want to bet over 2.5 today in Atlanta, Napoli. You're laying 200 to win 100. So you're having to lay prices, but as they say here, Flash, scared money don't make money. At the end of the day, I trust Palace's defense considerably. I also trust Leicester's as well. I just don't see a lot of goal-scoring threats or creativity here. I'll go with you here. I'll go under 2.5 as well.
Yeah, and I wouldn't rule out the little under 1.5 as well, because I think both sides will be absolutely desperate. And the big thing is we've always got to remember, Martin, is that these are older squads. I watched Palace the other day against Burnley, and the older boys, they're taking a while to get back to match fitness and match sharpness.
Yeah, they certainly are. They certainly are. It was an underwhelming performance against Burnley. I think they'd been run ragged in the previous game against Liverpool. Didn't really get a kick in that, but they were in reasonably good form before that. I think they can trouble Leicester in this game. They have a very good record against them. They lost earlier this season to them at Selhurst Park, but they won the previous 4 meetings between these clubs. They beat them 4-1 at the King Power last season and 3-0 in the previous campaign. So we've seen that they can turn it on against the likes of Man City. I think they can go and get a result there. Leicester, it's looking a bit dodgy for them now. I think they're going to fall out of the top 4. Maybe could keep sliding down the table. Leicester could Crystal Palace could stick the knife in. You can get 1.71 on Crystal Palace plus 1 on the Asian handicap. So you get your money back even if they lose by a goal. And I can't see them losing this by 2 goals. They keep things pretty tight at the back. And I think they can go and grind out a result in this game.
Maybe another way to look at it is both teams to score no. I mean, there's going to be better games on the card. So maybe just put a line through this unless you're really, really desperate. Now, Man United at minus 500, draw plus 650, Bournemouth plus 1800. Any price you like, Bournemouth. I don't see him scoring, Martin.
No, what is going on with Bournemouth? It's a crazy state of affairs down there. They should be fighting for their lives. They should be playing with passion, with desire. They should be going in for every ball. Yet they just keep turning up, like you said, looking absolutely lethargic. And at the moment, they're going down with a whimper. It's great news for teams like Brighton and West Ham because they're not really putting up a fight. They could well finish 19th at this rate. It's a very one-sided looking game. Man United have been terrific since the restart. Bruno Fernandes has galvanised their midfield. Paul Pogba's looking sharp as well now. They've just got quality in every area. I think they're looking really good. They're solid at the back. They've got plenty of options, plenty of pacey forwards. I think they'll roll them over. There's not a great deal of value, so I'm going to go for Bruno Fernandes to score at any time. 2.7. Think he's the main man for Man United at the moment. Everything goes through him, and he should get plenty of chances to get on the score sheet in this game.
Yeah, Man United are just like a little bit like Arsenal for me. They're just waiting to disappoint you. I mean, as soon as you think that they've got it going, I watched them against Norwich and they were an absolute joke. I know that some of the personnel were rested because it was FA Cup. They go to Brighton. Brighton rolled over. But, I mean, Man United and under 4.5, Man United and over 1.5, maybe Man United minus 1.5. Jeff, where do you find value in this game?
Yeah, I mean, it's real tough to find it, but I think you could have something on like an under 4.5 Manchester United win. But yeah, I mean, you look at United, not only are they scoring plenty of goals, but so many different players are scoring goals. You look at over the last 4 games, I believe they've had 5 different goal scorers. They're finding ways to put goals in. That's what good teams do. It's not just 1, 2, or 3 guys. It's 4, 5, or 6. Bournemouth, the string's running out on Eddie Howe. I mean, this group hasn't won since February 1st. It's been a long time since they've won a match. They're not going to win one here. United, as we know, they've won 12 of 15 and 11 clean sheets, folks. I mean, they're killing it in front of goal defensively. You know, I passed on this just because I just didn't find much value. Sometimes some of the books, it's hard to find under 4.5 and a winner. So I ended up passing on this one just because you're having to lay, crazy wood with some of these numbers. So for me, it was a pass. Maybe minus 1.5. I can get 1.6 on that. But that was really the only thing I had some interest in here.
Yeah, or Man United and over 2.5 goals. But we got Nixon saying Bruno's out, Lingard in. Now, Lingard looks like he's a championship player to me. He's certainly not. If Man United are going to go fourth and they're going to go into the Champions League, then Lingard is a player that I think is going to have to leave Old Trafford because he is getting worse and worse by every single game I see him play. Now then, great game. Best game of the whole weekend card for me is Wolves at plus 130, draw plus 240, and Arsenal plus 260. Tight game. I wouldn't go near Arsenal with your money, Jeff.
I wouldn't either. I don't trust Arsenal. Look, I don't care that they beat Norwich City 4-0. I think you, me, Martin, and 7 or 8 of the listeners can go out and beat Norwich. So, yeah, I don't have any care about that. I mean, Sheffield's not playing particularly well either. So I don't really mind. Keep in mind, this is a road game for Arsenal. We know about their struggles on the road. Obviously, Martin does, being a fan of this group. Their defense is still poor. David Luiz is one of the worst defenders in this league. He's absolutely dire. Both teams lead the league in draws. Both have 13 draws in the season. This comes across to me as 1-1. I think Wolves is a slightly better side. We know they're better defensively. I think draw screams here, but I'm actually going to go with Wolves here. I think they get the job done. This seems like another game where Arsenal kind of shows their fans, look, we can beat bad sides, but when it comes to beating a good side on the road, it's just not going to happen. I'll lean with taking Wolves here at a plus price. I think they're a better side. I think defensively they're better. We know Arsenal can go forward, but I just don't trust them on the road. Wolves are a good side. I think they run into a buzzsaw here.
Martin, do we see an Alex Classic here and not bother who wins?
Yeah, I think it's very difficult to look at the winners market in this game. I had Wolves to beat Aston Villa in that big West Midlands derby last time out, so I was pleased to see that come in. But it is very rare for a team of Wolves' stature to win 4 in a row in the Premier League. So you do feel like their luck has got to run out sooner or later. Obviously, we know Arsenal's defensive struggles. Mustafi's not a great defender. The back four they had out last night was terrible. Any other team would have probably scored against them. But they are dangerous going forward. Obviously, Lacazette's not playing particularly well, but you could bring in Eddie Nketiah, who looks a lot more dangerous. Aubameyang's finding form now. Nicolas Pepe didn't play last night, so he'll be fresh to come into the team. And so is Bukayo Saka. So I think he'll have options. I think Wolves look the more solid team to me, fewer weaknesses, but I do think we could be heading for a draw, and I'm just going to avoid the outrights and go for both teams to score at odds of 1.9.
I don't think you can go too far wrong. We maybe draw at half-time. I think that both teams will try and keep it as solid as possible, but when you look at that Arsenal defence, I fancy I could still lose a couple of them defenders in a phone box. Honest to God, they stare and they stand and they watch, and they are just not mobile and they do not see danger and they think they're better than they are. So, I mean, when you look at the Arsenal defence, you've got Rob Holden and they say he's the best defender. Come on now.
Yeah, they're
Wolves, for me,
awful.
are a proper European outfit, and if they put their best foot forward, they win the game. But I think draw at half-time is the way to go with every Wolves game, home or away. Now, Chelsea. I was going to go to the Burnley game, but I'm not in no rush to do that. Chelsea, -225, draw +360, and Watford, +750. It's kind of a London derby, but I know I've been lambasted before for saying that Watford's in London, Martin.
Oh, you can't be claiming Watford for London. That's a Hertfordshire team. Yeah, I think very, very disappointing so far from Watford. I expected them to soar up the table once the season resumed. They looked great as soon as Nigel Pearson came in, as soon as Troy Deeney came back into the side. I fancied them to get a mid-table finish. It's just been dire what we've seen from them. It's looking really worrying. If it wasn't for Bournemouth being so bad, they'd be in real grave relegation danger. Fortunately for them, it looks like you're not going to need that many points to stay up this season. Maybe 35, 36 points will do it, which is another incentive for Brighton to beat Norwich at the weekend. In this game, I can see Chelsea bouncing back with a win. Yeah, it was very disappointing that they lost to West Ham last time out, but I feel like Frank Lampard will read the team the riot act. There's competition for places in this Chelsea side. He can bring in several fresh legs and go again. I think they get the job done. I'm going to go for Chelsea to win over 1.5 goals, 1.71.
Yeah, I mean, the obvious one, Jeff, is that you look at it and go Chelsea win to 0, but then you know what Nigel Pearson's like. They will find a goal from a set piece, and maybe the Alex Classic might be the way to go.
Yeah, it might be. I'm just going to go with both teams to score here. Chelsea's kept one clean sheet over the last 10 matches. They don't keep clean sheets. It's been a problem all year. Center back's an issue for them. They've got to address that at some point. As Martin said, he said it eloquently, Watford on a good side. You know, they're going to struggle to stay up. They're going to have to find ways. But you know, I'm willing to think with Pearson and obviously Deeney back, I'm willing to think they can find a goal here. I think this screams 2-1 Chelsea. I think it'll be a late goal. If you remember the first time these two teams played, De La Feu had a penalty in the 80th minute. So, you know, it wasn't easy for Watford, but they found a way to score. So I'm going to go with that. Both teams have scored. It's pretty much even money here. This screams 2-1 to me. I might even look towards a correct score at 2-1. I think Chelsea finds a way to win, but Watford will score.
And the good thing is with Watford is they're absolutely desperate. They have got to find something and quickly. And if you've got a manager like Nigel Pearson, he will find it. He will eke it out of them players to go and get something somewhere. Probably when you're not expecting it as well. And at Stamford Bridge, that would be the place I wouldn't be expecting it. Now, this is edge of your seat stuff. So honestly, if you get too excited, I do understand. Burnley at +185, draw +210. Sheffield United at +185. I've gone with under 1.5, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean this is a rough one here. I mean, I'll tell you right now, and I'm sure you will both agree. This screams 1-0 for either side. I don't know who it's going to be. I don't know if it's 0-0. I just find like Burnley. You look at them recently; they've actually played better. I mean, it's weird though because their top two strikers are out in Barnes and Wood, but they're finding ways to get the job done. Sheffield scored 2 goals over the last 5 games. I think they're in worse predicaments here than Burnley is. Keep in mind also Burnley at Turf Moor. And I remember years ago, Natalie Rydstrom and I used to talk about Burnley at home. They're just a solid team at home. I'll take them here. I think they have some advantages in this match. I think they're kind of in better form. I think +180, not a bad shout here. I think it's 1-0. I think it's a late goal. It's not going to be easy. If you want to lay it, just go under 2.5. This one isn't seeing 3 goals, but I think Burnley's in slightly better positions, kind of like Wolves is against Arsenal. I'll go Burnley. I'll take a shot with a plus price.
I don't expect it's going to be a massive price, Martin, but you could go under 2.5 goals. That seems a very safe bet. Maybe under 2 on the Asian handicap. So if it is a 1-1 draw, then you're going to get your money back. But draw half-time looks shoo-in.
Yeah, not sure there's the value there. I think the bookmakers have sussed this one out as a low-scoring clash. Yeah, very, very poor for Sheffield United. They were surging with momentum before the break, and it's really derailed that momentum. They've been very poor since things started again. Unfortunate in that Aston Villa game that Hawkeye had an off day and they didn't get the 3 points there. Maybe their heads went down, and since then it's been poor. You know, John Egan was sent off against Newcastle and they lost 3-0. They got battered battered by Man United, and then heartbreaking way to lose against Arsenal in the FA Cup. So they could be a little bit dejected. Burnley have got problems with the size of their squad and just with the general fatigue of the players, but they seem to have a real fighting spirit about them. Sean Dyche's got them really fired up at the moment. They're saying they're not giving up on a push for a European place, and I think they have the edge in this one. I'm surprised to see Sheffield United as the favourites, despite being the away team and in poor form. So I'm also siding with Burnley. I'm going Burnley, draw no bet at 1.91.
So everything seems to be pointing at the home side, but not goals. Don't expect to be on the edge of your seat for 90 minutes in this game. I think it's Burnley. Burnley look organised. Burnley have got a few players that are showing a little bit, and they are progressing nicely. The big problem I've got with Sheffield United is when the opposition have 5 subs. And they haven't got the depth at Sheffield United to do that. They've got that good, maybe 12 or 13 players and a nucleus. But now they are really starting to struggle. OK, let's move on. Newcastle at plus 172. I'll tell you what, these games are a bit drab this week. Draw plus 240 and West Ham at plus 185. And then you know I like to gloat. I told you, don't go with Chelsea against West Ham in a London derby, Jeff.
Yeah, that result kind of came out of nowhere. You mentioned the games are kind of poor. I agree. This isn't exactly the greatest week to come on the show, but we'll try to find value. But yeah, look, I mean, Martin mentioned with I think Burnley that there's just kind of some pep. They play hard. They play tough. I mean, same with Newcastle. Look, this isn't a team with the greatest talent in the world. Obviously, we know they have some. They've had some ownership problems and some of the off the field stuff, and in the middle of a pandemic as well. But they're fighting. I mean, they're a good, solid defensive side. You look at Miguel Almiron. He played at Atlanta United in the MLS. He did some great things with them. He's come over and given them a bit of a move forward. He's played well. So. Yeah, look, West Ham, I still don't really trust them, even after winning. They're not a good side. They give a lot of goals up. I'm going to take another shot with a home side here at a big price. I'll continue to back these teams that play solid defense and just kind of bank on the fact that they're a better side than their counterparts. I think Newcastle's a scrappy side.
Martin, I'm just going to press the button on top of my head to copy and paste. Draw half-time.
Yeah, could well be, Flash. What's happened to Newcastle? How did they go and beat Bournemouth 4-1 last time out?
It's Bournemouth.
That was a very un-Newcastle...
Bournemouth might as well be Norwich in disguise.
Yeah, it's not a very Newcastle-like performance, though, is it? They're normally very conservative in their football. They played most of the season with 5 at the back and 2 holding midfielders in front of them, which left Almiron and Joe Linton very, very isolated, very poor return on goals. But I feel like they've taken the handbrake off a little bit since the season restarted. They've got no real they've got no pressure, so they can afford to relax a little bit more and be a bit more expressive in their football. We've seen some slightly more open games from them, and that's the sort of team that West Ham are as well. They can't defend for their lives. They're always pouring men forward, always taking risks, and it paid off for them against Chelsea. Fair play to them. They got the 3-2 win. I'm hoping to see another open, entertaining game in this one. So I'm going for both teams to score at 1.78. 1.78.
Wow.
If you want more value,
I thought that'd be
double it
closer
up.
to plus 100. Even money. I put both teams to score here, but I probably favour the home side. I really do. I mean, St. Maximin, he's probably the hottest property or the most talked about player. Maybe he might be overhyped because he's not got a great amount of quality around him, so he's shining like that big rosy red apple in amongst green, unripe fruit. So, OK, let's move on then. Liverpool plus 270, minus 275. I wish they were plus 275. Minus 275. Draw plus 450. And Aston Villa at plus 800. Win to nil. Minus 1.5. Liverpool half time, full time. Martin, Liverpool win, but how do we get the value?
Yeah, there's a few different ways of going about it, I guess. I can't see Liverpool doing anything but winning this game convincingly. It's a bit difficult because they don't have any real motivation anymore because they've wrapped up the title. But I think they're going for the Premier League points record now. There's no other. They're not in any other competition, so there's no need to rest their players or anything like that. I think they'll just keep going for it. Tough on Aston Villa because they're fighting for their lives at the bottom of the table. But I can't see them getting anything from this one. I'd just go for the Asian handicap, I guess, on this. minus 1.25 Asian handicap, you can get 1.77, which I think looks good. But just push it even more. Just push it to minus 1.5 to get closer to even money if you want a bit more value.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I wouldn't agree with, Villa fighting for their lives. I think they've been toothless in front of goal. They rely on McGinn and Grealish too much. And as for them defenders who think they're defenders, Villa have let in 1 million goals this season, Jeff.
Yeah, they suck. I mean, this is a complete golf, as we know. This is about as big a mismatch as you'll find. Yeah, I think Martin's totally right. Look, when you're a great side, when you're a great team, when you have stuff wrapped up, the goal is to do even more. So obviously points records, things like that, obviously in their goals here coming up. They're at home. I think the winning the league kind of has moved on a little bit. They have a game today, obviously, that we have to worry about. But yeah, look, I kind of look at 7-5 on win to nil, and I'm interested. I mean, I don't see where the goals come from. It's pretty simple. Kind of key in on two of Villa's players in McGinn and Grealish, and I think you're good to go. I think this is 3-0, something 3-0, 4-0. I'll go win to nil here. This is pretty simple to me. I don't think Villa can score.
I think it's the best value bet on the card, to be honest, at plus 140.
Hey, Flash?
Yeah?
I'll tell you one thing. I have no problem doing this. When you bet sports, whether it's boxing, football, whatever, sometimes you have to lay a price. Sometimes you need to grab your balls and say, you know what? I'm going to lay a price. It's not sexy to lay 275 on a soccer match, but they are going to beat Villa. It's very simple. They're not going to lose. I'm willing to lay the price here. I have no problem doing it. I'll lay, to win 300, I'll lay it. I have no problem doing that. They will win this match. It's not a question.
Yeah, and it's not the price of your normal man in the street, and that's why we try and box around. But plus 140 for Liverpool to win to nil against a side who struggles to score goals.
Yeah,
That I think that's the best value we have found on the card so far. I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Liverpool win to nil for me at plus 140. That'll probably be my banker, by the way. Now, Southampton plus 900. The Mighty Saints draw plus 450. Man City minus 290. Saints this time last year, I think, were plus 2200. They're looking sharp. They're looking hungry. They're scoring goals. Looks like an Alex classic here for me, and they could get something, Jeff.
Yeah, but I mean, look, maybe to you they're mighty because we know you have an affinity for them. You played there. You're from that area. You lived there many years, I believe, Flash, as far as I remember. I mean, they're not really beating anyone we're talking about. I mean, they lost to Newcastle. They lost to Arsenal. They couldn't even score against that awful defense that we talked about before. You're running into a buzzsaw here. This is going to be a tough one. They are at home. I guess that's positive, but this is one I skipped over. I just didn't find much interest in it. As you said, time and time again, the card's not great. This is one of them added in where you just kind of look at 2 hours after and see what happened. I don't really have any interest in this game. It's a pass for me.
Martin, are you going to go against the Mighty Saints?
I'm going to go against the Mighty Saints, Flash, yeah. It's a bit difficult to preview this game because obviously we know that Man City are playing tonight, so it would help to wait and see what happens there. But I do think we'll see a reaction after that defeat to Chelsea. That's going to be a little bit embarrassing for some of those players. Still think they're going to want to finish the season strong, despite we know they're pretty much guaranteed to finish second. They're well ahead of any teams below them. But I think they want to build up a bit of momentum in time for the Champions League. There is still competition for places in that side. Players like Gabriel Jesus are going to want to get on a goal-scoring run as well. So I think they can go to Southampton and pick up a pretty convincing win. Danny Ings can cause them problems. I'm not saying that Man City will keep a clean sheet, but I think they can win this 2-1, 3-1, something like that. So I'm going to go for Man City and over 2.5 goals, 1.87.
I think goals are the way you go. I think the Alex Classic of both teams to score over 2.5 goals is an absolute moral. What sort of price would that be, Martin?
What's that, for the old Alex Classic?
Yeah.
I'll find that out for you,
Yeah,
Flash.
thanks. In your own time, mate. Okay, and the last game is Spurs at plus 115, draw plus 266, and Everton at plus 262. Jeff?
Yeah, Everton's playing well. I mean, even back before the break, I thought they were playing pretty well. They had some solid draws. They were hanging around against good sides. won their last match, playing well there. This one looked pretty simple. I could see an Alex Classic here. Both these sides are pretty solid going forward. I don't love either defensively either. I've said many times in this show, back when I used to do it, I hate Tottenham. I don't like betting on them. I don't like getting involved with their matches. But I mean, this looks to me like a fun match, maybe 2-1 either way. I'll look to both teams are scoring over 2.5 at 11 to 10. I think it's a game that is 2-1. I can't call who wins it, but Everton's playing good football. I'm sure Martin will highlight that. I like the way they're looking up front. I think this is a 2-1 match. I can't call who it is. I'll go both teams to score over 2.5, 11 to 10. Alex Classic for the win.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff makes two great points there, Martin, but then you look at the way that Everton were at Norwich, and they were lethargic, and they need to be up-tempo because their players are up-tempo players. They can't turn it on and off like a tap. And with Spurs, you know what Spurs are like? Jesus, they would talk a glass eye to sleep.
Yeah, just before I get into it, it was 2.25 on that bet flash in the Southampton Man
that's a winner.
City game.
I like that. Plus
Good.
125, the Alex Classic.
Yeah,
Go on, mate.
I think we'll be in for. I think we'll be in for a good game here. Tottenham versus Everton. Tottenham, both teams to score, has been a pretty reliable bet for them this season. I know they beat West Ham to 0 last time out, but their defence has been very, very shaky. Vertonghen and Alderweireld just fallen off a cliff in terms of their form this season. So he's looking to Davinson Sanchez, players like that, to fill the gap. But I fancy Everton to get on the score sheet in this one. They have looked pretty good in front of goal recently. They put 2 past Leicester last time out. That was impressive. But I do think they'll concede. Tottenham are still strong going forwards. I can't call it on the outright, so I'm not sure what's going to happen. There's not going to be that home crowd roaring Tottenham on. So I think we could be in for a 1-1 draw, or maybe one of the teams winning 2-1. So, yeah, I'm just going to stick with both teams to score as well. You can get odds of 1.75.
Okay, well, before we have a rundown, and before I ask you to subscribe, press the button, ring the bell and that, we're going to have a little bit of a bonus here. I haven't got the graphic, but we know that because obviously we're live, you're going to be able to have an opinion on this and reward the 104 that are watching. By the way, please put your thumbs up to the little bonus I'm going to give you. Jeff, give me your prediction in Man City versus Liverpool tonight, please.
Well, look, I think this could be a decent spot to fade Liverpool. Obviously, anytime you win something and you win a cup or win a league or whatever, obviously the letdown effect is always there. This is a tough spot off of a win of that caliber, I know it's not a far road trip, but it is a road match as well. City, we obviously know they're very capable. Should be a great match. I'm going to actually go with City, though. I think they find a way to win this game. I think the letdown effect could be there just a bit. We obviously know that, all these sides are still kind of trying to regain fitness and still kind of get past the quarantines and that kind of thing. We know City can score 77 goals in the season. This should be a fun one. I wish it was getting a little bit better price, but I think City gets the job done here. I will actually fade Liverpool. You won't hear that much from me, but I think they get the I'll go 2-1 late. City wins it.
Okay. Martin, I've got 2 big pointers for this game. Well, I want to hear you first.
Well, as I said on the last show, I'm going for both teams to score an over 2.5 goals in this game. I think we're going to see a really good match. You get 1.87 on that now. I think that's changed a little bit since we filmed last time. But I just think we should be in for a good open game. Liverpool are going to want to prove why they're the top team in the league. But Man City are going to be a bit of a wounded animal. They're going to be upset after that defeat against Chelsea. And we know they've got real attacking talent. Kevin De Bruyne has been on fire this season. I do think they can unlock a stubborn Liverpool defence. I'd probably be leaning towards Liverpool just because of the way they played this season. But I don't really feel confident going for the outright. So both teams to score an over 2.5 goals for me.
Okay, the massive thing that's made me swing a little bit in Liverpool's favour is no Fernandinho after being sent off against Chelsea last week, and no Aguero. So I think the Liverpool double chance at minus 112, 115 is the way to go. I think that Liverpool are going to be ruthless. I really do. And I wonder if Man City, they've got the Champions League coming up. They're going to have to look after players. They can't afford no more injuries. So, I mean, you've got Jeff who likes Man City. You've got Martin that likes the goals, and I'm on the other side. So basically, I've just confused the life out of everybody by bringing it up.
I'm really just looking to fade Liverpool just once. You've got to obviously look very short at doing that. It's not a good thing to do all the time, but
No.
maybe you see a little hangover here. City's a solid side. You made good points about Aguero and that kind of thing, but I think De Bruyne will do enough. It's a tough one. I don't know if I'll actually bet it, but I'll lean with it.
I'm also wondering if there might not be any goals, Martin. I'm just putting pin in everybody's balloon. Don't answer that. Don't worry about it now before I get the boys' rundown. If you like this video, then please press the button. Ring the bell. You ring the bell, and then that means we'll notify you, and you'll never miss any content again. And if you press the link in the description, you'll go over and see all the football articles by all of our writers. Remember, the thumbs up. 104 watching, 28 of you. Does that mean that 76 are not happy? Please show your appreciation to both Jeff and Martin. Jeff, I'm going to come to you first. Can you give me your rundown? And if you've got a banker, good luck.
Yeah, I'll go United minus 1.5, Leicester Palace under 2.5, Wolves to beat Arsenal Football Club, Chelsea, Watford, both teams to score. What else do I have here? I'll go Burnley to win against Sheffield, Newcastle to win against West Ham United, and I'll go Liverpool minus 1.5 again. Or sorry, Liverpool win to 0 at 7-5 against Aston Villa. That's my banker. I think that is a total mismatch. I'll also tell you that I think Wolves are going to beat Arsenal. I think this is a great spot to back that group. As Flash said, they are a good football team. I think they beat Arsenal, who's about as bipolar as it gets.
Yeah, they certainly are. Trust them. Listen, I've died by the sword many times this season, Martin. I don't expect to be listening to your voice and you saying Arsenal win at Wolves.
No, I'm not going for Arsenal to win at Wolves. I'm going for both teams to score in that game. I think it's tempting to bet on Wolves, but you just never know. As I said, it's rare for a team like Wolves to win 4 on the bounce. I think they could come unstuck eventually, and Arsenal do have some dangerous forwards, so they have to be careful. Although they probably are the better team on the balance of probabilities. I'm going for Brighton to beat Norwich 2.3. Maybe Brighton draw no bet at 1.61 if I'm feeling a bit more cautious. Crystal Palace +1 Asian handicap against Leicester at 1.71. If he starts, Bruno Fernandes to score at any time at 2.7 against Bournemouth. As I said, both teams to score in that Wolves versus Arsenal game. Like that a lot. Chelsea and over 1.5 goals against Watford at 1.7. Burnley draw no bet against Sheffield United 1.91. Both teams to score in the Newcastle v West Ham game at 1.78. Liverpool minus 1.25 Asian handicap against Aston Villa at 1.77. Man City and over 2.5 goals against Southampton 1.87. Finally, both teams to score in that Tottenham v Everton game at 1.75. Banker.
I'll go Wolves Arsenal,
both teams to score.
Did you not promise a parlay?
Parlay, Brighton draw no bet. Man United and over 1.5 goals against Bournemouth. Liverpool -1 Asian handicap against Aston Villa. Man City -1 Asian handicap against Southampton. Throw in Juventus. Throw in Atalanta. Real Madrid draw no bet. That's my parlay for the weekend.
You're going with Atalanta to beat Napoli?
No, Atalanta to win at the weekend.
Oh, okay. Going to say what a risky game that is, going against Napoli, the form and confidence side. Listen, been great having you both on. I'm just going to go Liverpool to win to 0. Banker selection. I just love it. Plus 140. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Don't complicate it. Just get on. Okay. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Martin. Listen, if you haven't put your thumbs up for these boys. Then that means when I go to the hierarchy, I can say that you really enjoyed this show and we can do more content for you. Remember, if you haven't subscribed, then please subscribe and you will never miss anything again. Boys, have a great weekend. Welcome back, Jeff. And by the way, congratulations on your weight loss. Keep it up.
I'm doing what I can do. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
No worries. So that's Jeff and Martin going down the Premier League card. It's a tough one this weekend, but there's value to be found. You take care, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.